Hey Fun fans, welcome back to another episode of FUNalysis, where we're going to be talking about the FiT District Manor event played in Texas this past weekend. Now we're going to look at finals matches 1 and 2 played by Alliances 1 and 2 and analyzing the strategy of a 2 offensive 1 defense robot that's commonly seen in this 2025 season. Now the reason we're talking about this is because these two alliances both use such a similar strategy and create a very high scoring gameplay with practically 0 fouls as well. I think this is a perfect example of maybe what teams could start implementing as they get into the final competition stretch, and exactly showcase where to start in terms of removing algae and placing coral, as well as sending a defense bot to slow down the opposing alliance and making their lives a little bit more challenging in terms of scoring. So if we meet the alliances, Alliance 1 consists of 118 Robonauts and their first pick Valor 6800, and then the Bionic Vipers 9137. Alliance 2 was 2881 Lady Cans, whose first pick was Purple Haze 418, and their second pick Gallop Gearheads. So let's see how both of these alliances use this strategy to create a very competitive game here on FUNalysis. So let's dive into Alliance 1 and 2 playing each other in Finals Matchup 1. To start off with the autonomous period, you're going to see a lot of the same thing kind of happen where both teams will move in this exact orientation on opposite sides of the coral stations and start to begin filling up that top section of the reef. Now, I want to make this a little bit clear before we move on to the tryout period. The point of breaking down this episode isn't necessarily to show how close of a score this was, nor to see exactly like why the red chose to do this instead of just do that. But we're analyzing this video based on how the line strategy of a 2 offense 1 defense robot is played to slow down the other team and how it is effective. So when we jump into the autonomous period, I just want to make it clear that the red alliance chooses to remove all of their algae first and score immediately, while the blue alliance will score all of their corals on the top reef first, and then if convenient, remove the algae and just place it on the playing field. But when you look at these two robots, the defense robots for both alliances, they're going to do something a little bit different. And what I mean by that is, you see right here, yeah, 4251 is being a little bit cheeky, and they're going to come over to the coral station on the red alliance and start playing defense. Likewise, 9137 is going to do the same and just create a roadblock standing there and blocking that coral station on the blue alliance. But there is a little bit of a difference between how both robots play defense. You see, what's going to happen very soon is that the blue alliance will decide to play defense on both coral stations because they understand that the red alliance has a better offensive power ranking than the blue alliance, which means by sheer firepower and cycle time, the red alliance is always going to have that advantage. On the blue alliance side, what the red is going to do is stay in this corner to only create a disturbance that allows the blue alliance to focus on that top left corner, if you look at the video, as their main source of getting coral. The reason why this is kind of going to be ineffective for the blue is because they have such a high power, because the red has such a high offensive power ranking, right? Valor and Robonauts were 1-2 rankings at the end of the regional, and so they're going to be able to cycle from wherever they want to from the field. And notice how the coral difference is slowly adding up already. That's because these robots, right, in the corners are doing a different job playing defense. One on the left right here is controlling that corner and making sure no coral can be effectively placed onto the reef or collected into the robot for that section. The blue robot on this side is creating a traffic system where the goal is to create a very, very messy playing field to navigate through, and henceforth create a smaller scoring section. So no matter the score, you still see the offensive strategy I mentioned earlier. Red is going to fill up all of the sections of their reef, while the blue lines is only going to fill the sections that they cleared algae in, and then move on to the next section to clear the algae, like right here. And so that's kind of how both lines are playing that offensive portion. So then, end game obviously comes along. There's a huge scoring factor between the red and the blue. And there's not much to do for the blue lines, but they do start their climb soon. Meanwhile, you do finally notice that, which side of the field is more busy and which one is less busy. Like I said earlier, look at this side. Look how clean this entire corner is. That corner has been controlled so well by 9137, the Bionic Vipers, because they stayed stationary the entire time. Of course, you're going to want to be aware if you're in foul within like the 5 seconds, but as long as you're moving, as long as you're making yourself like navigate a little bit here and there, this is such an effective, a defensive strategy that the Red Alliance is playing. And the blue lines, because they wanted to create that traffic, they did move around after getting pushed around by 6800 Valor just for a little bit. At the end of finals match 1, though, Alliance 1 is the winner. And if we jump a little bit to the scoring section, you see that, wow, no penalties were given to either alliance, which is quite impressive, such that Alliance 1 is approaching the 200 point limit, and Alliance 2 is 130, which is very, very significant. Now we're only going to be talking about Alliance Finals Match 2 for a very, very brief time, only because not very many interesting things happen, apart from 9137 actually tipping over. But we'll let you see that in a little bit here. The offensive strategy for Autonomous does remain the same for both alliances, and it's quite interesting to watch, because you have 2 robots on both sides doing the bulk of the work, while the 2 defense robots really just move out and kind of just chill for the remainder of Autonomous. This does create a little bit of disturbance because the blue alliance is obviously down in coral, while the red alliance is still up. But because the red alliance understands that, hey, we played them in match 1, the defense bot did an excellent job controlling this corner, and the blue alliance can't actually score that much, we're going to start dumping all the algae out, or actually just rather scoring them instead, because they get the extra scoring bonus. We should do that, and the defense spot on blue lines can't really do anything to stop us about it, because we're going to play triple offense. I'm not going to dive into too much of triple offense, especially because 9137 does actually tip over fairly soon, which is pretty funny. But even though they tip over, yeah, right there, the red alliance still outscores the blue alliance, because it's now a 2v2, and holistically the red alliance has a crazy high offensive power ranking, so they don't actually have to rely on the defense bot or a third scoring robot to help them drive the scoring factor. As you can see here, you're moving towards like that end game. It's already a 62-point game, and they outscored their coral, filling up nearly the entire reef, while the blue lines has only gotten to almost the entire midsection. And in the end, red does win again. Clean of fouls, 196 with a robot down. And this is absolutely amazing to see. So when we're talking about understanding a 2 offensive, 1 defense strategy, I think it's important that people understand exactly what that defense bot is supposed to do and what their job is. Is it to create a traffic such that you're navigating between both ends of the coral station? Or is it to solely blockade a coral section so that you're completely limiting or even restricting access to an alliance or the opposing alliance coming in and grabbing coral? If you guys have seen other strategies being played that you find are effective, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'd be glad to take a look and review that as well. I know some other people have been talking about a triple offense strategy, which I know is very effective and could lead to a lot of changes at Worlds later this season. But you know what? Follow along for more, and we'll see you in the next episode of FUNalysis.